1350, what we know as the idyllic French countryside was a living hell. For more than 15 years, the people had suffered at the hands of English invaders. Little did they know that this war would last for another 100 years. But through this crucible of fighting, famine, and plague, there would emerge the modern nation of France. England's King Edward III looked jealously across the English Channel. Wanting France for his own, he had added the fleur-de-lis, the symbol of France, to his own royal standard. This was an all-out declaration of war. And in 1337, he invaded. But France already had a king, Philippe VI. As the English burned their way across the land, Philippe's army and his legendary knights marched to meet them and came face to face with the English longbow. A simple weapon, but the most devastating the knights had ever faced. The heroes of France fell to storms of English arrows. The war engulfed the French countryside. By 1351, the conflict was focused on Brittany. One fight stands out as a spectacular display of chivalry and a symbol of the wider conflict between the two enemy nations. The Combat of the 30 is still commemorated here in Brittany. It was a dispute between two local families. Supported by the opposing sides in the war, the French and English commanders decided to settle it through a trial of knightly combat. Each side would choose 30 champions to fight on neutral ground. France prepared to defend itself against England's finest. Intent on ending the suffering of the French peasantry, Sir Jean de Beaumanoir sent a challenge to the English commander. 30 champions on each side would compete in a tournament for final claim to Brittany. With the battleground of the halfway oak agreed upon, Sir Jean set out to gather support from local knights. As a knight himself, Sir Jean followed the strict rules of chivalry and was expected to protect the local peasantry and ensure peace.
Por vostre service. Mon arway maigne avec moi, incontinent. Je suis votre serveur.
Raczej, enkieci, enkiera. Koniec vos armes. Descopie des l'ennemi! Enkieci, enkiera.
Most medieval tournaments were friendly in nature, held for sport and glory, but the Combat of the 30 was arranged between opponents mired in war. English raids had torn through the countryside of Brittany and brought great hardship to the people. Sir Jean spotted an English raiding party attacking a nearby farmstead.
Si comme vos voldrez.
Bien, oye. Pointeneuse ne s'en délivrera.
Accespets certes.
Sir Jean's search next brought him to Sir Geoffroy Dubois, whose squires were contending with a detachment of English longbowmen.
Sono baffolo. No,
The knights would use the great speed of their war horses to charge the archers and overwhelm them. The English longbowmen fell, but the French knights knew the enemy would attempt to retake the hilltop fortification and steeled themselves for further attacks.
Si comme vos voldrez. À l'arson, chevalier! Reste tous sommes fraises!
Intent on ending the suffering of the French peasantry, Sir Jean de Beaumanoir sent a challenge to the English commander. 30 champions on each side.
Je suis votre serveuse. Je ris dans vos volets.
As a knight himself, Sir Jean followed the strict rules of chivalry and was expected to protect the local peasantry and ensure peace.
Mon arway peigne avec
Ameillez, oye. Si faites vos commandements. On l'avoué pour bataille.
Fouet, Giride. Apertisez votre courage, compagnon. Je suis votre serveur.
Brest pour une sanglante hâtie.
Most medieval tournaments were friendly in nature, held for sport and glory, but the combat of the 30 was arranged between opponents mired in war. English raids had torn through the countryside of Brittany and brought great hardship to the people. Sir Jean spotted an English raiding party attacking a nearby farmstead.
Reste tous sommes fraises. À l'arson, chevalier. Chevalier, reste pour entier. Salves en ordonnance. Si comme vos voldrez. Retrayez vos hamouets.
The French knights defeated the English raiders, and Sir Guy de Rochefort joined Sir Jean's party.
Hors votre... Si comme vos voldrez. Hors votre service.
Bien, et compresse.
Sir Jean's search next brought him to Sir Geoffroy Dubois, whose squires were contending with a detachment of English longbowmen. The knights would use the great speed of their war horses to charge the archers and overwhelm them.
Compagnon, reste pour la besoin.
The English longbowmen fell, but the French knights knew the enemy would attempt to retake the hilltop fortification and steeled themselves for further attacks.
Chasse-qui September à Oxamitz. Compagnon, reste par un tir. September à
Je vais vous obéir.
Soyez Spage. Métier comme un élève. Compagnon, reste par un...
À l'arçon, chevalier.
Dick de Souhait m'a besoin. Die Jensdown Voskier. Si fais los commandements. Et
With Sir Geoffroy by his side, Sir Jean had secured the outpost.
Oyez. September à Oxamitz. Et compresse. Si fais vos commandements. Mettons nos en la vouée. Un pied ci, un pied là. Reniez vos armes. Comme vos plaisent. Mettons nos en la vouée. Bien, un pied ci, un pied là.
Looking to secure his honor, a young knight held his ground on a bridge in Sir Jean's path.
Si comme vos voldrez.
Blache, let's donc en la vouée.
Honorably conceding defeat in the duel, Sir Yves Charel joined the cause.
En la vouée. Reniez vos armes. Si fais vos commandements. Mettons nos en la vouée. Un pied ci, un pied là. Mettons nos en la vouée. Oyez. Mettez vos donc en la vouée. Reniez vos armes. Reniez.
Sir Jean entered the staging area for the tournament, where he prepared to choose which knights would join him in battle. Each knight would be accompanied by his squires, young nobles in training to become knights themselves.
Soyez avant, compagnon.
Sir Jean had selected his champions.
Suis votre serveuse.
As the sun rose, the two sides entered the arena, ready for the first round of combat.
Apertisez votre courage, compagnon.
Ilek vais-je rester. Lancière, ayez de sa tour de guerrier. Ça.
Chacune envouée vers notre porte.
Die Gefolgschaft von Preis des Sommers von Ordenen. Incontinent. Leur retrayez vos amouets.
Claiming an easy victory in the first round, the French champions left the arena to recover their strength.
Accesmets vos, compagnon. Si comme vos voldrez. Certes.
Refreshed and reinvigorated, the French knights returned to the arena for another round of combat.
Je
The combat of the 30 was about to decide which nation would control the Duchy of Brittany.
Die Chevalcheur, à pleine course.
Attendez les commandements.
Triumphant, Sir Jean de Beaumanoir and his loyal knights claimed victory. The combat of the 30 had decided control of Brittany in favor of the French. Little did the two sides know, this was just the beginning of a bitter war that would outlive them all. After victory at the combat of the 30, the French faced devastating raids from England's Black Prince. But France's King John II was closing in. Jean finally caught the English near the city of Poitiers in September 1356. The French army outnumbered the English by thousands. King Jean himself joined the fight, but what seemed a certain victory for France soon turned into a nightmare. The English longbow devastated the mighty French army. An endless hail of arrows gutted the main French force. Then the English captured King Jean. The fight was over. The Battle of Poitiers was another catastrophic defeat for the French. The English had destroyed most of France's nobility in a single day. Now they turned their attention towards taking the French capital, Paris. The invaders marched unopposed towards Paris. The remains of some of the medieval walls of Paris still stand today. As the English army approached, the terrified locals sought shelter behind these defenses. Could France's capital withstand the full might of the Black Prince's army? The English Black Prince had raided the French countryside without mercy, and now his army had come for the capital. With the English on their doorstep, it fell to the French army and the people of Paris to defend the walls of their proud city. Hoping to avoid open battle, the French began fortifying the city, manning the walls and calling every available soldier to his post. As the French hastened their preparations, several detachments of English soldiers were spotted closing in on the city.
Manance, reste à Euré.
Que faut-il donc besoigner?
Ouais, y vais donc.
En besoigne. Giovanni Bastir. Oil, mestier de Mouet, Tostia Lorez.
Voyez moi besoin. Longtemps va-t-il demeurer? Ça-
Advertance, tout lors dévance nos salaires. Manance, Manance, nos de reste pour la besoigne, Manance. Besoin si comme volets.
Attendez les commandes.
Allons, Manance.
The English showed no mercy, burning their way to Paris via 3 routes, each of which was home to villages and farms that supplied the capital.
Oyez les orvos servir.
Que faut-il donc besoigner?
La cette moi exploité.
En besoigne.
Lors
Besoigne à faire. Lors oil, mestier de Mouet. Fouillère, baillets Mouet besoigne. Oh me faut trail. En besoigne. Véquière, mais
Oh, me faut trahir? Oui, da.
Oil, mestier des mouets.
Bon, bon, ça
que faut-il donc besoigner? Besoigne à faire. Tostia, oh me faut trail.
Besoigner à faire?
Baillets Mouet besoigne. Pouvons savoir, mestier de Bois.
Attends, Manance, nos devons salaire. Annonce, Manance. Déguer puissance, Manance.
Vaillez moi besoigne. Vécu mer.
Besoigne à faire. Je vous
Que
savais.
faut-il donc besoigner?
Que valait?
Vaillez moi besoin. En besoin. Oil, mestier des mouets. Tous de besoigne à faire. Je veux...
Oh me faut trail.
Oil, mestier des
Having
mouets.
struck out at the English front line, the French had slowed the enemy's advance.
Que faut-il donc besoigner? Je vous amène mes riens. Oil, mestier de Mouet. Bonne besoigne de fect. Besoigne à faire. Lors bâti. Oil, mestier de Mouet.
Véquière, mais
Besoigne à faire. Vécu mer.
Baillets Mouet
besoin.
Vaillez moi besoin.
Longtemps va-t-il demeurer?
Die Chevalchers escuten. Nos allons, Chevalcher.
Compagnon, moult avance.
Arbalestre. Arbalestière. Allons. Allons.
Les gens d'armes, vos si fais, vos Chevalcher. Comme
Chessmes, vos arbalestière.
chasse McDon's nob.
Il n'est faut que la duisse.
En besoigne. Giovanni.
En besoigne.
Lors se bâtit de s'estuer.
Besoigne.
Vaillez moi besoin. Longtemps va-t-il demeurer? Giovanni Bastir.
Oil, mestier de Mouet.
Tostia Lorez.
Que faut-il donc besoigner?
Besoigne. La 7 Mouet exploit.
Oh, me faut.
Oil, mestier des mouets. Tous de ya Lauretz.
Que faut-il donc besoigner?
Manuel.
Giovanni Bastir.
French continued to rally their army, the English took the last of the surrounding villages and had almost encircled Paris.
Tous te ya, Laurez.
Archers, oyez mon arc express.
Bonne besogne est faite.
Longtemps va-t-il demeurer?
Oh, me faut trahir.
With the countryside in flames and the English at the city gates, the French army steeled themselves for battle. Now came the capital's true test. Would the mighty walls of Paris hold against a fearsome English siege? The Parisian Guard raised the alarm as the English began their first assault on the city walls.
En besogne. Lord Oil, Messieurs de Mouet.
En besogne.
En besogne.
Chevalier, besogne à faire.
Bonne besogne.
Je veux ça.
Besogne à faire.
Que faut-il donc besoigner?
Lors bâti de
Die Chevauche, en pleine course.
Oh, me faut
Archers, de demeurer point slash to coin.
Longtemps va-t-il demeurer?
The French army fought valiantly, repelling the first English attack.
Giovanni,
Vayez-moi besogne. Lors se bâtit de
que faut-il donc besoigner? Tostia Oil, Messieurs de Mouet.
Lors bâti.
Oh, me faut trahir.
Ça espelle, Manuel.
Manuel
Tous te ya.
En besogne.
Giovanni. Oh, me faut trahi. Je vous amène mes riens. Vayez moi besogne.
En besogne.
Besogne à faire.
Pouvons savoir, messieurs de Pouesse.
Oil,
Messieurs de Mouet.
Oil, messieurs de Mouet. Raise à la mine.
Ça est, Manuel.
Archers, archers, allons le priement. On the guerpits, archers. Compagnon, oui, oui, compagnon. L'ancien militier en la vouée.
Place, reniez vos armes.
Voyez tout le monde. Si, comme volette. Si, ben.
en besogne. Vayez moi Oil, Messieurs de Mouet. Si vais exploiteurs.
Die Gensdarm, vos pierres.
Oil, messieurs de Mouet.
Que faut-il donc besoigner? Tostia Lorez.
Que faut-il donc besoigner?
Besogne à faire. Lors
En
besogne.
besogne.
Tous te ya.
Oh, me faut trahi.
Giovanni.
Vayez-moi besoin. Si, comme volette. Que besogne à faire? Vécu Mériens.
En besogne. Véquier, mais rien.
Besogne à faire? En besogne. Que faut-il donc besoigner? Lors Oil, messieurs des Mouets. Chevalier, vayez-moi besoin. Oh, me faut trahir. Longtemps, Besoin à faire.
Compagnon! Reste pour la...
Oyez, un coup de vos fort d'espartir.
Quel est votre plaisir?
Homme fautrail. Bien, bien, veille. Il prêche sans nul arrêt. En besoigne. Ton stial oil.
Quel est
Vestir de mouet. Ton stial besoigne à faire. L'autre batige s'estue. Oil. Vestir de
bien
mouet.
saber mettons nos en la vouée. Page! Page!
Besoigne à faire. Homme fautrail. Vont savoir vestir de bois.
Que faut-il donc besoigner? Oil, Messieurs des Mouets. Chevalier Bastille.
Que faut-il donc besoigner?
Longtemps Bathilde.
Vaillets mouet besoigne. Manuel Rassidi. Belle besoigner à faire. Oui, Pierre Mérienne. Homme fautrail. Je vous amène oil, mestière de mouet. Que faut-il donc besoigner? Je vous amène besoigne. Pierre Vaillets mouet besoigne. Besoigner à faire.
Gardez vos distress ennemis! Let's all bless the Magdalene. Compagnon, les chevreuils sont Les chevreuils sont escuchen!
Acest mesmos Aubenestres! Aubenestier! Acquaintance
Que faut-il donc besoigner? Pouvons savoir, messieurs les princes.
Acest mesmos habillement!
Quel est votre plaisir?
Aubenestres! Acest mesmos!
Chevaucheurs, soyez prêts!
The French defense of their capital held firm, wearing down the English invaders one by one.
Oil, mestière de mouet. Chevalier Bastille.
Les chevreuils s'escuchen!
Oil, mestière de mouet. Oui, d'aves queer.
Ennemis! Quenchez, quenchez!
Acest opinion! Nos allons!
Compagnon!
Die Chevaucheurs sind weg!
Jeunesse Lucienne!
De das Ufer liegt ab.
Les autres, les commandements, veillez à Yomwe!
Mais ici, reste comme ça, compagnon. Moralement. Oyez, allons, ça part main. Si trahis, donnez-vous plaît. Baillez-moi besoin.
Besogne à faire. Lors Batige s'estu.
The enemy grew ever more desperate as their ranks thinned and their hopes of victory faded.
Gardez vos distractions! Les chevaucheurs sont prestes!
Baillez-moi besoin. Lors Batige s'essuie.
Que faut-il donc goyette, tout le monde?
Oyez bien. J'espèce votre envolette.
Il n'est faut que la chevaucheurs en arrange par l'avoué. Niquet,
Mais ici,
si obéit à votre commandement. Compagnon,
mais ici, les commandements. Gentlemen, vos habillement. Envolette bien.
Baillez-moi besogne. Je vous amène mes rien.
Il n'y faut que pour l'aide de vos espèces!
Envolette. Gentlemen, vos.
Chevaucheurs, soyez prêts!
Envolette.
Sigrez-moi, vos compagnons! Les chevaucheurs sont prêts! Les chevaucheurs!
Envolette. Appointez. Envolette. Gentlemen, vos.
Il n'y a besoin! Chevaucheurs, ayez par demande! Avant!
Gentlemen, vos. Gentlemen, avant, envolette. Gentlemen, vos. Nos déguerpissons. Gentlemen, vos. Envolette. Oui, apparemment. Jet, you know. Compagnon, aux allotes.
Vex, jeunesse Lucienne! Les autres, les commandements.
Presque comme une sanglante.
Il n'y faut que
Envolette. Gentlemen, vos. Envolette. Ça, compagnon. En rapport. Je gagne mon gage. Allons, à part main. Gentlemen, vos. Envolette. Dans cette Spartans, vraiment. Compagnon, aux allotes.
course.
Acest mes vos, si vei. Oieți bien, compagnos des Spartans, dictes compagnon. Ici les commandements. Bien oi.
Defeated and demoralized by the strength of the French defense, the Black Prince's army abandoned their siege of the capital. Paris celebrated victory, but this was not the last test the French would face in their struggle to win the war.